Hi guys, I'm Sky and I'm the Digital and Associate Editor for Miss FQ, and today on Girl Talk we're chatting to none other than Nike Master Trainer Kirsty Godso, who we finally got back in the country from New York after being away for almost a couple of years now.
It's good to be home, guys. Aside from the avocado drought, I'm very happy to be here and enjoying the coffee.
Hope you enjoy our chat. You don't work 9 to 5, but you've got to be on 24/7, so you're constantly working long days when you're overseas. Your pressures in your job must be quite different to the average person's, but how do you cope with the pressures of your role?
Coffee. So yeah, I guess my day starts really early, like 5:15 every morning, and like I'm a morning person, so that's great. But I might work really intensely for the first 3 hours of the morning and then have a little bit of a break, or I'll go into private training someone. So I've done my classes. Then it goes, so my energy shift, like I love private training because it's more like, you know, you're just having a conversation with someone while you're trying to beat them up. And then I work on a lot of other projects outside of my training that I do. So I've been working on my own proteins. That keeps me really busy. And then I also partner with some other brands to work on projects with them, which has been really exciting, as well as working a little bit wider with Equinox Corporate. So I think I spend a lot more time on my computer than people think. But the craziest thing is, I think, trying to maintain your energy levels across the day, because you're training people for a certain number of hours, then you're trying to get your own training in at some point, and then usually I teach again at nighttime. So it's how can you keep hitting these peaks kind of across the day? So that's where, for me, hydration and nutrition is so important. Like, if I eat things that just my body doesn't really agree with, like I just go on like total sloth, like slow down mode, and I will struggle to get through my class. So that's why I am, like, I would say, a little bit of a diva about my food. I'm just really, I know exactly what I want to eat and what I don't want to eat, and I kind of don't really compromise about it.
Nice. And I guess when people see you on Instagram and they see your Instagram stories and they're like, oh, look at her, she's got the most amazing life, she's just nailing all the time. You are human, and you do have those moments when you're like, I'm totally exhausted and I actually can't cope with this as well, right?
That's generally when I will put the cute cat Snapchat filter over my face.
Blurs
out the bags under my eyes and but yeah, there's definitely those moments, and I'm really grateful. One of my best friends lives in New York as well, Georgia, and you know, we have sleepovers and stuff all the time, and she works her ass off, so we can have those blob moments together, and it's just nice to have good friends there that can understand what it's like, that energy tax, and then just sometimes really taking that time to be like, okay, cool, I actually need to chill out for a day, and then come straight back into it the next day. Because I never want to teach my classes half-hearted or be really slow, and you know, so I'm really good at switching off whatever's happening in my personal life to go after it in my work. But then every time you do that, it kind of knocks you back another step. So it's really important just to, you know, try and stay intact with actually how you're feeling and not letting yourself get into a bit of a black hole.
Totally. And when you do have those days off, if and when those rare days off come around, do you have a cheat day? What do you do?
I don't really. I guess my cheat is I love chips and guacamole.
You love avocados. I know you love avocados. Your followers know you love avocados.
Avocado. It's such an expensive problem. It's a personal problem. I actually have it in my rider. I'm not even joking. I think people think I'm joking when I put that on my Instagram story, but it's literally in my rider when I'm on jobs that I need to have avocado on set. I'm you could literally just give me a plate of avocado and I'm good for the day.
Nice.
No, I don't really, I honestly, I just love the way that I eat. So I don't really crave stuff, but it'll be more if I'm going out for some really good Mexican, I'm still fussy about the chips. They've got to be really good if I'm having them, but that would probably be my cheat.
So I first got to know you when you first started taking Nike Training Club classes in Auckland, and from there your Instagram following grew rapidly. What do you attribute to your success on social media?
Oh, definitely my cat. God, I love thinking back to those first days of Nike Training Club when we had no equipment and we were outside, and sometimes we didn't even really have proper sound system. And
do we even have photographers?
No,
we
were really Lydia and I kind of being cool, and it was just crazy. I honestly believe that the NTC community that we have in New Zealand is totally different to anywhere else that I've done NTC in the world. It was just so cool, and it was always so fun. So I'm really proud of that, and that's something I always miss, and I preach about to everyone around the world. I'm New Zealand wouldn't be stopping now, and but I think with my Instagram as well, it's funny. When I first became a trainer, really I had a private Instagram account when Nike first found me, and I had a few photos of my cat on there, and that was kind of it, and some Nike stuff. And then I guess I was just trying to give a really honest viewpoint of how I feel about training and how I like always trying to encourage people. I don't think I ever want to be seen as someone to be like, look at me, this is my body, or like, I'm doing these cool things. I want it to be more like, hey, this is a really cool move that you should try out, or like just trying to give people a little bit of motivation, but not in a cringe or preachy way. I think you have to be inviting, and you almost just want to be like someone's friend. Like, you don't want to be, I don't know, I just think there's enough preachy people out there, and I definitely don't want to be part of that party. But it's also a fun way that I like to share, like how I like to style my gym gear, or how, you know, whatever I like to do, because I do like to wear the men's training stuff, or mix things up, or like kind of cut my t-shirts, and so it's been really fun. And I love, especially with Nike Training Club, when people tag me that they've done my workout on the app or something, and having a way to engage with people where you can just talk immediately about the workouts or about their training.
Cool. And, you know, people do see you on Instagram and see your amazing body and stuff, and, you know, we hear it all the time. I want to have a body like her. I want to have her lifestyle. What do you have to say to those people who are just like looking at you and they think of you aesthetically? Are you like, I worked so damn hard for this body, like that's what you need to do? Or how do you feel about that?
I'm just more like to people, I'm like, okay, it's one thing to say something. Like, anyone can sit there and say, I want blah, blah, blah. I could be like, cool, I want a G-Wagon. Like, I do. I'd actually just like to drive in New York. But you actually have to take active steps to get that.
Yeah.
So just announcing something isn't actually a step towards doing something. So I always say to people, I'm like, that's why one of my sayings is, if you want it, go get it. Like, if you're going to say, I want to do 2 pull-ups, okay, cool. How are you actively working towards doing those 2 pull-ups? Which is actually the thing that's going to take you towards the 6-pack or whatever it is. You know, like, how can we shift people's thinking into getting them directly to those aesthetic goals by having some performance goals?
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel about the difference between training for a feeling and training for aesthetics? Because I know that you've said in the past that you're more about the feeling.
Well, I just think that the feeling is so addictive. And so, but if you're training for the feeling, and you just, you know, there's no denying the way that you feel when you're consistently exercising and you just feel so good. Aesthetically, it's coming anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just focused on like, God, I've got to lose this weight for this wedding that I'm going to, or blah, 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 it's really depressing, actually, because you're always in this mindset of, I'm not quite good enough.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in the just training for the moment and just being like, God, I feel good when I go to the gym and sweat, blah, 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 then you're kind of like, oh, I think my legs actually look a bit better. I think my core's tightened up, or I feel stronger when I do that push-up. Like, it's a much more positive way to kind of set yourself up. Whereas otherwise, I think if it's just focused on this aesthetic goal, taking into account our body looks different every single day. Like, sometimes we're bloated and blah, blah, blah. Not letting that derail you and be like, oh God, I'm never gonna get that 6-pack. You know, it's just like it's like kind of selling yourself short.
Yeah, and the two come together, I suppose.
Totally come together.
But have you always felt this way? Like, has this always been your mindset? Or
Yeah.
were you totally that person that used to be all about trying to look a certain way first, and then you developed into this mindset?
No, never. Like, that's why it's funny, like, I'm a real prude with my training. Like, I will never teach a class in a crop top. I never do. Like, okay, yes, I'm guaranteed, like, I'm always wearing Nike Pros, which are, like, very short. But my thing has never been to, like, parade a body. I'm totally in it for that feeling where I think I might be dying. Like, that's what I love about training. Like, I love that point where I'm like, oh, whoa, I really don't think I can do anything more, but I'm actually going to do more. And then I'm like, yeah. Like, that's what I've always loved about training. Like, I'm very competitive. So I'm not going to try and compete with someone and be like, damn, I wish I had her stomach, or I wish I had this or this, because that's just not reality. Like, that's actually not going to happen. So I don't know. I think I grew up, I was really a tomboy when I grew up. So I wasn't so much thinking of aesthetic stuff as much. Like, I think definitely, I'm not going to pretend that I'm not conscious of my body and, you know, want my body to look a certain way, but it's just not my focus. Like, whenever I'm going into the gym, my focus is, man, I really hope I get that one chin up today with 25 kgs strapped to me. Which I know, actually, the byproduct of that, whenever I'm going through that program, is my abs look way better.
Yeah.
But that's not the first, second, or third thought that pops into my head about it.
Gotcha. And has your relationship in terms of body positivity always been a really great one? Or, you know, you're only human, you must have those moments where you're like, oh, I'm not feeling so great. But do you then counter that by just going for a workout and trying to make yourself feel good?
Yeah, definitely, and being in control of my nutrition. I think, like, when you travel a lot and you're flying, you don't get your routine, you know, like, so whenever we do these huge trips in Nike, it's amazing and I love what we do, but you definitely don't have your own training routine, so you have to sacrifice on things like that, and you're traveling through different countries, so you're often not eating what you want to eat, And it's like, I don't eat on airplanes. Like, I am that person that takes their own salad on the plane or their own snacks. And everyone that's judging me, looking at my food, I am judging you for eating the plane food. I'm judging you. But yeah, it's just like, okay, so what can I do knowing going into these scenarios that my training's going to be a little offset or my food's not going to be exactly what I want? How can I prepare for that so I can at least acknowledge that my body's might not be feeling as good as usual, but it's going to be okay.
Nice. And what would you like to say to young girls who are in that like impressionable age, who might be working out for what you consider to be maybe not the right reasons? What do you want to tell them?
I mean, I'm totally supportive of anyone that's working out. I love that. I think there's nothing greater than being active, but I just think that the benefits to be gained from working out, like, and just the calming of your mind, like not being so stressed out about having to have this transformation, having to have this like before after moment. Like, what about everything in between? Because it's through the process that's where all the great stuff happens. And it's like the struggle moments and then the little success moments and everything, but it's not just about that end goal. Because actually when you get to the end goal, I always get kind of sad when I achieve a training goal, because I'm like, I
What's
really
next?
enjoyed that hustle up to that point. So I just think if you can, from an early age, like it'd be so nice if we could just be nicer to ourselves with the way that we talk about our body, instead of being like, oh, I hate my legs, I hate my blah, blah. Be like, cool, I've got these badass legs that work. I can actually exercise, and just enjoy the process of exercising, because then you're not putting all the stress on you. I know it sounds so stupid, but you're not putting all the stress on yourself. You're not releasing all this cortisol that your body's then going to be like, I'm actually going to hang on to weight because I think I'm in fight mode.
Right, yeah. It actually is deeper than just
kind of be in some harmony with your body, because that's your one vehicle for life. So let's not spend years and even seconds hating it.
Yeah, totally. And I think sometimes social media can play a bit of a part in feeling the pressures to look a certain way. You know, there are a lot of movements on Instagram and looking good in certain situations. Yeah. What's your take on how social media affects the mindset of women?
I mean, like, I definitely I almost feel like it's harder for young people growing up these days, because there's such an easy way to compare themselves to everything or see everyone's life and maybe be like, oh, I'm not stacking up to that, or I don't have this, or I don't have that, or blah, blah, blah. But just remember that social media is just like, it's a make-up version of lives. It's not real accountable things, and just trying to keep that in mind, even though it's hard. Because I know even I'll look at things and be like, damn, I want that, or like, you know, whether it's about clothes or trading things or whatever it is. But just trying to be kind of a little bit more content with yourself and be on your own journey, and I think confidence, like, all the people that I know who I find the most attractive, it's because they're confident and they're not comparing themselves to everyone. Because, like, there was one of my favorite things that says, you are the end of you. Like, that's just it. It's you. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go and compare myself to this girl and this girl and this girl, and I should be doing this in my career, or I should be doing this, or I should have this many followers. Like, who cares? Like, followers, that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. All I know that I'm in control of is my mindset, how I treat other people, how I treat my body. And yeah, I think then that helps you just kind of be a little bit more confident and at peace with yourself.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know how to voice that without that sounding preachy, but that's something that I've tried to learn. Because if you're so invested in everyone else's journey, like, your life suffers.
Yeah,
your life isn't getting all the attention that it needs to be, like, chasing your goals and doing your stuff.
Yeah, and as much as there is that side of social media, it can be a really positive thing. And I'm sure for you, you've had some amazing opportunities. How much do you think social media has had an impact on your career?
I think it's definitely helped in the sense that I can share with people what I'm doing with Nike, or what I'm doing with Equinox, or what I'm doing with Avocado, or what music I'm listening to, or like, it's even all those little touch points. Like, people will be like, hey, what was that song? Or like, you know, it's like you're just connecting on all these different levels and touching points with culture. Because one thing that I always used to think of was I really didn't like that fitness was considered cringe. Where some people, I was like, it shouldn't be cringe. It's such a great thing for your body. I'm like, I get that there's a lot of cringe things out there about it, like with bodybuilding and like all these things. And I was like, but that shouldn't be at the core of it. So I always used to think, how can I kind of bring in what I love all these different touch points with music or like style and different things like that, and bring that into fitness and share that story with people about it. So I think that's been that's something that I love, and being able to connect with other people on social media who I'm inspired by, and kind of share ideas on things like that, and maybe get to train them or meet them. And it's definitely been great to like end up working with some brands that I've always really wanted to work with. Like, it does give you awareness. Like, sometimes I think it's weird that I'm from the bottom of the world and that I get to work with Nike and I get to work with Equinox. And so definitely, you know, social media helps in that part, but also below all of that is all the hard work that goes in. The social media is just that little icing on the cake bit that where you get to show it. But otherwise, if you don't have a story to tell, then when you meet people, that they see that very quickly.
Totally. And what is the behind the scenes part of your life? Because people do see that snippet or the Instagram that goes up that day, but like, how much work is actually going into getting to where you are? A lot.
Like a lot of training, a lot of emails, and yeah, a lot. But I love what I do. Like, I'm so lucky that I love what I do. But I also really then love my own time. Like, you're not going to see all parts of my life because you don't need to. You know, and like, I like to have some elements of my life that are private, even though it does probably seem like I share a lot of things. And I'm also never going to be the person, even though I think it's good to be honest about when you're having hardships, I'm not going to be the person that's documenting that on my social media. I'm just going to be quiet, because that's when I need to have a private moment.
That's you time.
Yeah, and then I come back to being Beyonce on social media.
No. Do you get haters? And if so, how do you rise above them?
I actually feel like the haters have really chilled out. Like, people used to be super like aggressive, and they'd be like, your legs are so skinny, or like, your leg bends funny when you're standing this far. I'm like, yeah, it's got personality. Like, who cares? Like, or people would try and be like, did you Photoshop your legs? I'm like, no, I really have better shit to do with my time. Sorry.
You're like, I'm working out so often. Nobody got time for that.
Yo, if you meet my dad, he'll understand where the legs come from. But or people will, you know, people love to have an opinion, and I think one of the most important things that I learned was, because I used to get really upset by it years ago when I was first doing fitness DVDs with Les Mills, and then you had to learn pretty quickly to get a bit of a thick skin and just be like, wow, like, I kind of feel sorry for you that you're projecting, like, because you're just making yourself actually look like a bit of an idiot that you're saying that out loud. But sometimes if someone really annoys me, I just will reply to them and do the waving emoji, or like, see ya. But I think, like, my mum is definitely one of those people. She's always like, you got to kill them with kindness. But I think even just like not even letting it in.
Yeah.
And that's something I even try and tell, like, a lot of the girls that I train who are like these gorgeous young girls who might be models, or they're doing all these different things, and I'm like, just don't even take it on board. I'm like, just feel sorry for that person.
Yeah, fair enough. Good advice.
Like, it's not necessary. Or I'm like, just, we can get the medicine ball out and just have a little
smash it out
therapy session in here.
Nice. And I did see the other day that you have teased a little project on Instagram. Are you launching your own protein, and can you tell me about it? Or is it top secret still?
No, I can talk about it. So my boyfriend and I actually, he isn't a trainer, but he loves training. And we were both so upset with the fact that all these American brands were lying about what was really in protein powder. And it's probably one of the questions I get asked the most from people, what protein powder should I use? And I've never honestly had an answer for people where I was 100% happy with every ingredient that was in the protein. So it's been something I've always kind of wanted to do, but I never really like had the confidence to do it until my boyfriend was like, we're gonna do it. And like, he is an actioner. Like more so than anyone I've ever met. So next thing you knew, we were putting our bodies through this 2-month trial of trying all these different proteins we'd ordered, to the point that we were both vomiting in the gym during workouts from all these things, because we had to know that before we really got into it, that we were doing the right thing. And we're like, oh my gosh, it was a really funny 2 months and kind of horrific.
You made it through though, you're still a couple.
So we were just like, I can't just bin that immediately. We're not even giving that rest of that bag to someone else. No one can drink that. And then it was actually amazing how quickly we got to the formula that we wanted, because we were really, that's through our testing process, we were really like looking closely at ingredients. And first of all, like, obviously we wanted it to be a performance protein and really clean, but we also wanted it to be really beautiful, because I don't want girls or anyone to feel embarrassed about taking protein. So even all the proteins that were coming out with beautiful packaging have so many ingredients in them that don't need to be there. So they weren't hitting the mark. Like no one was getting it right. So that was kind of the gap that we wanted to come in and fill. So you'll never actually know how high performance our protein is from the packaging, but it's really good. Like we were super stoked with how well it came out. And so the packaging is really clean and just minimalist, and we want it to kind of just fit in, like it almost looks like a burrito candle or something beautiful in your life, not like big bucket, like so
bodybuilder vibes.
So
like,
it's coming out
moment.
in the next month or two in the States first, and then I'm trying to get it into New Zealand, Australia as quick as I can, because this is such an important part of the world for me, and it really was the start of my journey with fitness, and it's always going to be where I'm from, and I'm so proud of New Zealand stuff. So I was like, okay, I've got to get this down here, because even I went into the protein store since I've been home, and I was like, what is that shit? I was like, no. So yeah, we're super excited. It's called Made Of because the whole thing was meant to be like, what are you made of, and not essentially just like, okay, yeah, we are actually made of protein because we're built up of all these cells, but it's more like, what are you made of? Like hustle, drive, like ambition, like those are all the things that really motivated us to do this project. And so we hope that people love it as much as we do. But it's something I'm really excited about.
You'll have to let me know when it's here so I can let all
I
of the
will
readers
be
know.
dropping it.
If I was to say to you, what is the next thing for Kirsty Godso, what would you tell me?
Pyro Girls. So Pyro Girls is this new kind of, I guess I would say, a movement that my friend Lauren Williams and I have created, and we're teaching it currently at Project by Equinox. But basically Pyro Girls is this workout that we've done where it's based off because it's lit. That's where the name comes from. But it's crazy hard workouts. But it's more about, we want people to embody this spirit of being like, yes, I can. Like, and really sort of lighting a fire and like taking this attitude of like, we talk about it being like our hard yes to all of the no's that we've ever had in our careers or just life. And I think that everyone can be familiar with that kind of feeling. And so it's like bringing this real spirit into a workout. And our favorite thing is like, we do these hot sauce burpees that are kind of crazy. We try and make them a little bit crazier each time. And some of them have names like sriracha or Tabasco, but Cholula. And they all have a real functional purpose. Like some might be stability or some might be agility based or plyo, but we put them up on Instagram to get people to involved with them. And we've had all these people from like Canada, Australia, like all these countries tagging us, being like, I'm a pyro girl and doing the burpee. And then we have pyro boys. They are proudly calling themselves Pyro Girls, which we love. But it's just a really fun way for us to kind of get people to think a little bit differently about a workout. And it's something that, you know, we're making merch, obviously. But we're really excited just to like take it like on the road a little bit and have it as a way to kind of just engage people and have a bit of a community around it. Because I think that's the biggest thing, and that's something that we love with NTC, that there's a community and it's all about that kind of group vibe and feeling something where you're connected all around the world. So like, why can't New York, New Zealand be connected through this pyro spirit?
That's so exciting.